This is Alan Green from Novus Communications. I'm here today with Richard Lloyd, CEO of MINEXIA Limited, the company that owns and operates Natural Resources Private Market, a new funding platform that raises money for mining and resource projects. Welcome, Richard.
Good afternoon.
Airline Private Markets, am I right in thinking this is a crowdfunding platform for mining companies?
Yeah, you could say it's a sophisticated crowdfunding platform, yes indeed. It's probably breaking away from the traditional broker model where you as a broker would ring up your 10, 12 favourite clients, as it were, if your mining company was raising money, and we're trying to open and widen the access for smaller investors, which are perhaps forgotten about sometimes in the traditional broker model.
Okay. So in a sense, the mining investment companies are pre-vetted by you almost at institutional level. So it sounds like that could improve the odds for investors?
Yeah, we have an investment committee. Every deal has to go through that. We've all got between 20 and 35 years industry experience.
Right.
We have a metallurgist, we have a couple of geologists. I'm a geologist myself, trained in mining geology. I've spent my entire career in mining and mining finance. And so there are a committee of between 5 and 6 of us that will vet the projects at varying levels, and it goes to, all intents and purposes, would be a credit committee in a financial institution.
Okay,
so we're not recommending any stock. We can't do that, but we owe it to people that are using the platform to understand, as we are trained to understand these projects, and we only put projects we're comfortable with on the platform, suitable projects on the platform.
Suitable projects. And looking at the brochure that you have for Natural Resources Private Market, you undertake it from desktop review and target generation all the way through the feasibility studies and production?
Yes, I mean, there is a funding gap to develop these projects. Whilst we've seen gold return to above $1,400 an ounce and exploration spending increasing, I think 2018, the total budget for exploration spending was about $10 billion.
Yeah.
But most of that was near mine, replacing production, and mainly within the majors. There was only about just under $3 billion raised for new exploration. And obviously as you go further and further down the junior market, less and less is being raised because there is only a finite amount of cash. A lot of that is indeed running out in Canada. There's been people have fled to both cannabis and cryptocurrencies.
Yes.
That market is hurting at the moment, but we see there's still a big pool here in the UK and indeed Australia, and that's what we're looking to provide.
Okay. So you mentioned investors. You mentioned in the brochure that investors have to meet your criteria. So if I were signing up as a potential investor on the website, how would I go about that?
You look on the website. Yes, you click on, you show an interest, sign up, and it takes you through a process. There's a questionnaire which our compliance team have looked at and make sure that you then accredit yourself. It's self-accreditation, and you either accredit yourself as a high net worth or a sophisticated investor, etc., etc. And then the next stage is then to provide the usual anti-money laundering documentation, so passport, driving license, utility bill, proof of address, that sort of thing, which would be standard for opening up a bank account. And that's done securely through a company in Switzerland. So obviously all the data is kept confidential and all the rest of it, but it is a requirement both from the FCA, our compliance team, that we need to do that. We cannot afford to have an investor on there that has any ill-gotten gains, let's say, and likewise the issuers, the mining companies themselves. There's vetting of the directors as well. They need to go through a very similar process.
Okay. So that's I understand how thorough that is. So we mentioned, or you mentioned just now, the size of the global marketplace, and obviously the fact that some traditional sources were retiring or chasing other sectors, and there were new areas such as cannabis emerging. Do you see, what sort of opportunities do you see in the future in this market for Natural Resources Private Market? Clearly you've launched, but do you see a big expansion and a big return of, or more finance returning to the mining sector?
I hope so. It's in my DNA, and I see a lot of projects, and I love mining. I see a lot of colleagues, a lot of my peers are now CEOs of mining companies, or they're running funds, and there is a frustration there that there are some great projects out there, and it's very, very hard to raise $3, $4, $5 million, which is the sort of range we're looking at to start with.
Yep.
If you actually want to go and raise 50 million, it's actually a lot easier, which seems ironic, but that's the state of the market.
I know that. That's quite the norm. Yeah. Okay, so if companies come to you, I know we're probably getting into the realms of compliance here, but and an issue that compliance might have concern with. But what sort of ratio of projects that come to you get through and actually get approved for funding?
We would hope to put 2 a month on, and that's about our bandwidth. There are 5 of us that run the company, and then the investment committee meets ad hoc when we need to. If a project has developed to the stage where the investment committee needs to meet or do the round robin with the documentation, etc.
Yeah.
I would say we are in the realms at the moment 1 in 8.
1 in 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, as word gets out there, it's one of the unfortunate things is there's a bit of a smell of money. A lot of junior mining companies will come flocking, which we encourage. But yes, with the vetting process, there are the same projects that people have seen time and time again, and whether it's $1,400 gold or $300 gold, it may well not be a very good project. Obviously, I won't go into any details of which ones are or are not getting on. People can see on the platforms which deals are on there. But yeah, that's part of we don't want poor deals on there or inappropriate deals, or even, to be fair, deals that we in a region or a commodity we don't understand.
Yes.
So I've never worked in Russia, for example. So it would be very difficult for us to, certainly for me, to assess a Russian project. And I've never worked in uranium, for example. And put the two together, and that would be even more interesting conversation.
Russian uranium.
But Latin America, Africa, I've worked in both. I've worked a lot in gold, base metals as well. So those are easy for me to assess, but other people have different skills within the team.
Understand. Okay, so can we talk about the companies that are actually on the platform? So if we look at some of the company names that have come through.
Yeah, I mean, our first deal was Kincora Copper, which we assisted financing. They raised 6.2 million Canadian, which was an oversubscription. Sam Spring did an excellent job there, and that's a copper project in Mongolia,
Wow.
which was an interesting starting point.
Yeah.
And we have 2 live deals at the moment. There's a polymetallic project in Queensland, Australia. It's called Vendetta, and there's a Chilean silver project, which is called Aftermath. And those are, if people want to go onto the website, those are live, and they can see all the details there.
Okay. Right. So, Richard, looking to the future, what's next for the Natural Resources private market platform? Have you got specific plans that you can discuss here?
Yes, we want to grow it. It's been good fun, but with any startup, it's hard work. There are new lessons we're learning with each deal. We're trying to make the onboarding process as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
And we need to keep the balance between what's in the shop window, i.e. the number of deals we have,
Sure.
and also the investors coming on. The investors want to see a full shop or a full shelf, and we are keen to have a variety of deals. I'd love to do a domestic deal. I'd love to do something here in the UK, and the UK mining sector's picking up. You've got 2 Cornish projects that are going great guns. They're looking at South Crofty to dewater that. You've got Cornish Lithium. You've got Sirius Minerals. You've got a couple of gold projects up in Scotland and Northern Ireland and across Ireland that are reopening or being looked at again. And as I said, at $1,400 gold, that makes life a little bit easier for them. So I'd like to do something domestically. And our initial deals, the ideal funding size we said initially was between $1 and $5 million, and I'd like to see that grow, and the team would like to see that grow as well in terms of number and size.
Sure. Okay. So about the platform itself, who actually is behind the platform? Obviously, you're running it as CEO, but do you have a big team that have funded this, or is it funded by 1 or 2 of you?
Management own a great deal. Obviously, we set it up with either sweat equity and our own money, and we have quite a tight shareholder group who are very, very supportive. Obviously, as with any startup, until we start earning good revenue, we will continually need to fund ourselves. And the shareholder group are very, very patient. And the technology partners, this took about 2.5 years to build and test and retest. And you can imagine behind this, to become a seamless, efficient platform, and for the investor journey, it needs to be easy. You need a fair bit of IT and a good platform behind it with no wrinkles. So we have a chief technology officer, for example, who is learning about mining very, very quickly and enjoying it, and perhaps now thinks he should have gone back and done a mining degree instead. But anyway, that's very important, and we will learn with every single deal. We'll improve it every single time. That's you need to in the fintech space. You need to keep up, otherwise you become redundant very quickly.
Understand that. Well, from where I'm sitting, the platform looks every inch a game changer for the mining and resource industry. Wishing you every success with the platform, Richard. Please come back and tell us how the platform is going later in the year.
Absolutely. I'll keep everybody updated. Thank you very much.
Okay. Richard Lloyd, CEO of MINEXIA, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.